Hi, and welcome to the Flatback 4 podcast with me, Andy Maguire, and Scott Eaglin. And hi, mate. First of all,
Hi mate.
we haven't done a pod for 2 weeks. We've had a summer break. We've had our
Yeah.
little rest, okay. But we're back, and we're gonna delve into it because so much has happened in 2 weeks. Obviously, we've got Sheffield can't win a game. Leicester can't stop winning. Leeds have made a great start. We've nearly beaten Liverpool. Calvert-Lewin is turned into Drogba. I mean, literally. I mean, and the sad thing about it is, I'm going to jump straight into it. How gutting is it that we haven't got fans in? I know we're going to touch later on it, but the start that's happened, there's been goals every game. There's been drama, handballs, VAR, and no fans. It's frustrating,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's really frustrating at the minute. I mean, would there have been this many goals? Actually, one of the reasons why probably there has been so many goals is that handball rule, which we'll touch on in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there'd have been as many goals if there was a crowd in, because I think that's relieved a lot of the pressure on some of the players just to sort of go out and express themselves a little bit.
Yeah. And one team that did do that, Leicester, the other day. Let's just touch on Leicester and how good, what a start they've made. 3 games, 3 wins. Vardy on fire. Harvey Barnes playing brilliant. Leicester looking like that team that I don't think they've ever gone away since they won the league, but we knew that to keep that high level and a couple of players that they lost. But I think Brendan Rodgers, we're both fans of Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think given time and the right players, I think he's going to make them a top team consistently.
Yeah, they've made a great start, haven't they? I was quite sceptical actually after they won the Premier League. I thought they were just going to sort of, go slowly down the league, maybe towards mid-table, and then in about 5 or 6 years be relegated, and they'll just become a bit of a yo-yo team, thinking it was just a
Did
one-off.
you think that? I didn't know that.
I honestly thought, because you look at their signings that they made just after they won the title, they were a bit all over the place. They bought that Slimani, who's still there for some reason.
Yeah.
They bought 1 or 2 signings.
Well, he's been on loan, and 28 million, I think it was.
Yeah, they bought 1 or 2 signings that were just a bit like, maybe you've just rushed into that. But actually, the development of players like Chilwell, and the recruitment has been unbelievable when you look at people like Ndidi, like Tielemans, bringing Harvey Barnes through, like Ricardo at right back. There's just been some unbelievable signings, and I think the
underrated player, mate, Dennis Pratt as well. Really like him. I thought that was a good deal with Tielemans and Pratt, because they're both Belgium. I think that was a really shrewd signing.
Definitely, yeah, he's very underrated. But I think their best signing has been Brendan Rodgers, hasn't it? I mean, he's never done a bad job anywhere he's been, has he really? I mean, he nearly won the title.
He was unlucky, wasn't he?
Yeah, he nearly won the title with Liverpool. Had their best season probably since they came in the Premier League. He got Swansea promoted. He won the treble with Celtic. And now he's doing unbelievably at Leicester.
Good question, that actually. Like, do you think Brendan Rodgers maybe doesn't get the credit because of all the trophies, because it was Scottish football and not? Yeah. Do you think that wages over people's head? Like, well, yeah, everyone says, oh, anyone can do it in Scotland.
Yeah, I know.
You can't. You can't. Like, you've still got. There's been managers at Celtic and Rangers that have failed, like not won the trophies.
Oh yeah, big time.
So yeah, it is hard.
And listen,
to a degree.
Yeah. Listen, they didn't have the biggest challenger in Rangers for those 3 seasons, for 2 of the 3 seasons or whatever. And they weren't a right lot of competition. But to go, what was it, a season unbeaten, to win both domestic trophies, to keep that level of consistency up against poor teams, I think that can only be applauded. I think, don't you think a lot of it is, or a lot of his reputation, and people are quite negative about the fact that he didn't win the title with Liverpool, and I think even just to get close with that team, and I know that they had Suarez and Sterling and Sturridge, and I mean, you look at Sturridge now, I mean, Rodgers clearly got the best out of him, better than anyone.
I agree.
And obviously that was the start of Sterling. He developed Henderson probably into the player that he was today.
I agree.
But maybe that time at Liverpool, and probably the Gerrard slip, is probably the negatives that are on his CV. But
yeah, and it's not Brendan Rodgers' fault, that is it?
No, of course it is.
We've got to put that into context. You set up a team and you have the best team in the world, but if players don't play, or there's freak incidents like that, the fall and whatnot. But
they've started really well, haven't they, Leicester? Same with Everton, man. Everton.
Yeah, Everton. Yeah, we've got to touch on Everton because Carlo Ancelotti, obviously, when he went to Everton, it was Is he just going to bring in the players? Because we know that the owner backs managers. He's given a lot of money over the last few years, but he's put his trust in Calvert-Lewin, and I've been a massive fan. You know, I've been a big fan of Calvert-Lewin. I think he's a handful, and I've said it for about 3 or 4 years. If he could just get that one person that goes, "You're good," and he seems to have found that in Ancelotti, and he's trusted him, but he's backed him up with the right players as well. Alan looks a great signing. I can't believe that any of the big boys didn't sniff around Decore. Honestly, it baffles me. But brilliant signing for Everton, and now Calvert-Lewin has scored. What is it? Is it 7, 8 goals already this season?
I think it's 8 in 5, mate.
8 in 5. I mean, that's great at any level, particularly the fact that he's earning the Premier League. They're flying. James Rodriguez looks like he's taken to the Premier League, duck to water.
He's just a touch of class, isn't it? I watched that Spurs game, and he was just the best player on the pitch by a mile. Granted, he didn't get the man in the match.
By a country mile.
It went to Alan, but
he was a cut above, wasn't he?
He just everything he touched just turned to gold. Like, you could just tell that he was by far and away the best player on the pitch.
He made the game look effortless, didn't he? And that as a midfielder, if you can do that,
I think I saw a stat, mate, that out of all the players on the pitch, when it says how many sprints they've done per game, James Rodriguez did none. He did 0 sprints or something that game.
Didn't need to.
He just sort of let the game pass by and dictated it, kind of like how Michael Carrick used to be. From a bit far forward. But
James Rodriguez, Michael Carrick. Although Michael Carrick did win a lot, but
do you know what I mean?
Comparison, it did make me laugh. I understand.
He just sort of ran the game, at his tempo, and that totally put Spurs off, who maybe wanted a bit of a higher tempo, a bit more attacking. I do feel though, mate, and I think we disagree on this, don't we? That Everton will just slip away. I think they'll finish 6th.
I think that they'll slip away from where they are. I don't think that they're going to, but I think they're going to be in that hunt of 7th, 6th, 5th.
Yeah.
And then, but as we saw with Leicester, they'll drop off by Christmas. If they can get to Christmas, do you think that it'd be a different story if they're still 5th?
I think so. I think I just look at their squad size, and other night I think Alan got injured. That John Joe Kenny got injured. I can't remember who else went off. I think it was Richarlison. And I think if they have 1 or 2 injuries, I don't think they've got the backup like maybe some of the top clubs. Having backup, and especially if they're going to go for like Carabao Cup and FA Cup and whatever.
Well, remember we've still got a little bit of a wild transfer window. It's not closed. We don't know if Ancelotti's finished yet, and he might add. I still think that maybe a defender. I think they're a defender away. Hopefully, he gets the best out of Pickford. But if you can get a defender and maybe one more squad player just to bulk up in a position, I think they're going to have and then they can reevaluate in January if they are still hanging around that 5th, 6th position.
I think they'll be pushing for that last Europa League spot, won't they? With the usual suspects of like an Arsenal, maybe even Spurs, depending on how well Bale does.
We've got to touch on that, mate, by the way.
Yeah, let's touch on Spurs, mate. I mean, what a signing.
I still think he's got so much to offer in the tank. I mean, he's not going to do them 80-yard sprints. He's not going to do that, but he doesn't need to do that anyway now, because we're forgetting that in his Tottenham days, early days, that's what he was, and then he got converted. Them last 2 seasons before he left, and the season that he left, I mean, he just drifted that front 3, and he scored wonder goal, the West Ham. I think we watched that together all them years ago.
We did that 3-2 where the last minute.
Yeah, I think we watched that. And if I think it was it Michael Richards actually made a good point. If Spurs get a 70% they've still got an unbelievable player.
Yeah, 100%.
But Spurs as a team, he doesn't seem to fancy Ali. That looks like Mourinho's done that thing, Andy, again, where he's gone into a club and gone to one person. Nah, I'm not feeling you.
Mate, he did that last season with Ndombele, didn't he?
Van Dombele.
I really struggled with that, didn't I? But do you know what I mean?
And he's come back this season.
Yeah, last season he totally threw him out of the team, and he's worked his way back into it. And this season, and he's been great at the start of the season. He did it when he was at Man United with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw was out of the team for a while. And then he sort of wormed his way around, didn't he? And
he needed a loan move to Serie A. He needs a loan move to Luke Shaw.
But do you know what I mean? Like, and it could potentially do the same with Ali. Hopefully, it's just a bit of a wake-up call that probably Ali
Well,
needed.
we watched the documentary, and we saw it, didn't we? Saying that he liked him as a player, but didn't think he was a good trainer. So there's obviously something. I don't think he's.
He comes
I
across
think
quite well,
we
doesn't
all
he,
know that.
Ali? He comes across
Yeah,
quite well,
but I
but
thought Ali, he hasn't been the player. He hasn't been
no.
the player that we know he can be. He doesn't seem to have. Like Harry Kane. You look at Harry Kane, and you feel like he just wants to win everything.
Yeah.
I sometimes look at Ali and go, do you look a bit arse, mate? Like, you realise where you are. You're in this amazing stadium. You got Harry Kane alongside, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes I just think Dele Alli looks like, I know I'm good. I'm here. And I kind of feel like he's not wanting to go to that next level. But he was way on the road when he scored them like 18 goals. And
how often do we talk about, or do I talk about, these players that make have a meteoric rise to the top? And we talk about Goetze in the World Cup final. They get right to the top in such a short space of time. Then where do you go? Look at players like Vardy, who was even, he's pushed on even further, hasn't he? Now he's 33. It's interesting you touch upon, players not looking arsed. I think of players like Berbatov, who never looked arsed, but his quality just over, just
he did it.
overshadowed.
And that's the difference.
Do you know what I mean? he could run a game by not looking arsed, whereas Ali, I think, relies on his energy, no doubt in his talent, but can he be arsed? Has he been? Has he outstayed his welcome at Spurs a little bit? Does he need a loan?
For you
move?
then, a loan move, would it do him good? And would it do him good going to a PSG, or do you think he needs to go to a team where he's probably a guaranteed start? He's probably not going to go to any Premier League team. I highly doubt it. But is he going to walk into that PSG team?
Probably not walk into it, no. But I would always push, particularly with younger English players. When they're between sort of 19 to about 23, 24, go abroad for a season, go abroad for 2 seasons. See what it's like abroad, play in Europe, under a completely different regime, even if it is just for a year's loan. For me, I don't think it'd do Spurs any good to loan him out, because I think he's still got a use there in terms of strength and depth. For Dele Alli, if he's not going to play every week, I mean, I'd go straight over there with you.
The other day, someone said I think it was on Talksport, saying it'd be good for you, Ali. He'll go out there and he'll learn the language and stuff. And I thought, I don't think he will, because he said on the documentary he'd only just learned how to bake beans. So I'm not.
Microwave.
I'm not holding too much. I don't think it's going to become going. I don't think that's going to happen.
But wouldn't you though? If you think right, pretend
I'd love. If I was a footballer, I'd go away.
If you're 22, 23, you're playing for Spurs. You've had a couple of good years when you first went there, and you've just sort of drifted away. You think the manager don't fancy you. Do you go abroad?
I think it's a toss of a coin, mate. I don't know whether I'm the kind of player that would, if I was in London, especially like he is, I will go, no, I'm going to get my head down. I'm going to prove to you that I'm going to do it. Don't send me out on loan. Not saying that I think a loan deal's that great for some players. I think at certain times, I think Dele Alli is a little bit too old to go on loan now. I think he needs to get his head down and get back into that team and actually show Tottenham, because he's shown Tottenham what he's already got. This is not a player like Ndombele that came to the Premier League. It might not. We found out that he didn't really adapt and he was struggling a bit with missing home and stuff like that. Dele Alli is a London boy. He's down there. He's been there for years. He's got everything that he could do there, and he's got a manager that actually does rate him. We've seen it; he rates him, but there's obviously something not clicking there. I think Dele Alli needs to get his head down.
Yeah, he said, didn't he, in that documentary that one of the first things that Sir Alex Ferguson said to him, didn't he, Jose? Go and buy Dele Alli.
Sign Dele Alli, yeah. So the talent and everything is there with him.
Yeah, he just needs that little push. But just touching on Spurs, mate, do you think they've done all right, decent start so far?
Yeah, I mean, they look good against Southampton, but I mean, by the way, did they? Yeah.
I know, I was thinking that.
Sorry. But I think they've had a bit of a mixed start. I think they've played well in patches. I don't think that they've lit up the world, but then sometimes you've seen a team and you've gone, they could be good, that team, Jose team, and they've won like Jose can. The Southampton game, Harry Kane was absolutely devastating. It's the schedule that might kill Spurs. They've played 12 games in 6 days. It feels like. I feel like every time I put the telly on, they're on.
Mate, I feel for Matt Doherty, me. Last season he played 58 games for Wolves. His season lasted about 14 months and he's doing exactly the same this season with Spurs.
If he retired now, his Wikipedia would say 900 games played. 2 years. But by the way, I like Matt Doherty. I think he's a good balance for that team, and I think he's got a good head about him.
They looked good against Chelsea the other night, actually. They did look quite good. To say that they had pretty much a second string out plus a couple of others that would get in. Good penalty shootout win. That Reguilón does, although he made a mistake for the first goal, he did do really well.
He
looked really
quick.
Looked good assist for their goal as well. I thought Spurs looked quite good.
Good touch on Chelsea. What do you reckon? Their start. It's been a bit of a mixed bag, but it's 3 games.
Yeah.
What can you read into it?
I don't think you can read a lot into it, mate, because they've had a lot of new names coming in, a lot unsettled back 5. You know, with Chilwell coming in, and then Kepa or Caballero.
Thiago Silva had a good start.
Thiago Silva. Do you know what I mean? So unsettled. I think he just needs a bit of stability in this team.
We'll judge Chelsea in a few weeks. We'll come back to Chelsea in a few weeks because I think it's quite hard to all them players bedding in.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to judge Chelsea after 10 games.
I agree.
But with Spurs, though, man, they looked good against. Can't remember who they played. Maccabi Haifa as well the other night in the Europa League. They looked really good. And that is a nice segue onto the next subject, mate, because their second goal, Maccabi Haifa, was a penalty that was given for the most ridiculous handball. Matt Doherty's hand was stood by his side. You know, if you'd have laid him down, he'd have been in a coffin. His arm was literally just by his side, and it was given as a penalty. Now, I know they've changed that rule, man, but that rule is the same across Europe. And this handball rule is just... It's moronic, mate. I mean...
Apparently they've got a meeting, haven't they? Is it next week on the international break?
They've changed it in England going forward, that this handball rule is going to be different. But it really worries me, that, you know, players around Europe and Champions League and in Europa League, mate, if you just get in penalty box, just aim for his arm and you've got a penalty.
Yeah, that's true. It is true. No, it is true.
Do you know what I mean? And you could have your arm by your side and have your hands in your pockets, literally, and get it given as a penalty. It's just the most ridiculous decision, man. I
want to know, though, Scott, who passed that original rule and thought, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's pass that off to all the best teams and leagues in Europe.
Do you know,
I find it incredible.
I think they've done it because the handball rule has always been, like a lot of rules are in football, very subjective, always up for debate. And I think the IFAB, the people who rule the rule the roost in football, really, they want referees to become a bit robotic and a bit, you know, dead certain with rules. Hits his hand no matter what, it's a penalty. That's it.
Oh, let's get it right. They're getting the penalties right. They're right in the eyes of the rule.
Then there's no debate whatsoever. No debate.
Absolutely. And that's the Eric Dyer one. I mean, it comes from behind him. He's looking that way, and it hits his.
And he jumps with his
arm there.
You jump with your arms, mate.
I mean, what do you have to do? I mean, it's absolutely it was scandalous. I mean, and Man U did something that Man U always do: score late. But I've never seen them scored after a full-time whistle. But we did this year.
I've never seen score updates like that. 2-1 in the 90th minute, 2-2 in the 93rd minute, full time in the 94th,
full time
3-2.
Man United.
Madness, mate.
And of course, it has to be Man United. I mean, actually, in the defence, that was handball.
Yeah, because his hand was right.
But then why didn't VAR say to the ref, "We're checking, don't blow up," or get the ball, hold it, let's stop play, don't blow the whistle? I mean. My head went on that. I was like, it's schoolboy. I think if you got a group of 6-year-old kids and said, you know, do you think we should stop the game, and finish it, or do you think we should wait? I'm pretty sure they will all go, well, no, let's wait to see if it's, you know, it's like schoolboy errors, you know. But
what do you change the handball rule to? What should be the handball rule? Because it has always been
handball is really. Handball should be, if that ball, you know, if somebody shoots and that you know that they've got, that's handball.
Intentional.
You know, if you're just defending, if you're defending, you know, you can't just have your arms down. You know, I'm doing a very Gary Neville here, you know, when he shows it in the shooter. You know, but if you're just saying, you can't be expected to have it. If the ball is just kicked and we know that it's a very close distance and it hits the arm, not a penalty. But if you know, we've got eyes. If you see the hand go towards it, you know straight away, he tried to get one there, you know, fair play. Suarez, World Cup.
Yeah.
That's, you know, penalty, handball.
I think, listen, like I say, a lot of rules in football are subjective, which kind of defeats the objective of having VAR because, you know, it's ultimately the referee's decision, and that his opinion might be different to the 5 guys who were watching it, you know, 200 miles away. So, I mean, in my eyes, it should always be for intentional handball or for something that's, you know, if your arm's in, let's say, an unnatural position. And that decision should ultimately be with a referee. You know, I'm thinking of unnatural positions like, you know, if you just stood there and your arms out by your sides, as in like right up here, or, you know,
Yeah.
something blatantly
I,
obvious.
I always think in a wall for a free kick, right? When they all stand together, there's no reason for a player to do that.
No,
So that is
that's,
unnatural for
yeah,
me. Now, in a wall, you can jump with your arms by your side because you're meant to just act as a barrier, right? So you don't need your hands, okay? Now, there's a bit of a difference if your hands are like, you know, if your arms are just at the side of your body,
yeah.
with your arm. I'm on about this jumping, that jump. That's unnatural. That's a penalty.
What about Sissoko in
You don't need
Champions
to do
League
that.
final?
You take one. Yeah, I mean that was, yeah. I
I,
don't
I
know
felt
that
sorry for him there. I felt sorry for him in that
because
instance.
again, I think that was change of direction, and then it came up and hit his hand.
Yeah, he was
I
pointing,
thought
wasn't
that
he?
was
He was pointing, wanted to say,
yeah,
watch
he was
him,
pointing.
watch him.
Now, yeah, so like if I'd have seen that, yes, it was unnatural, but you could see that he's going and saying he's pointing.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'd have looked at that on VAR and gone, that's unintentional. He's not going to touch the ball.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
yeah,
pointing in
use your
it.
brain. He's pointing like that. He's not trying to stop. So it's funny because we always said, oh, VAR will just clear up every debate. I mean, it hasn't cleared up every debate and whatnot. And I still think there is a very small chance that it can work, but I was all for it. Now I'm not against it, but I'm not for it in
Yeah,
the sense that they're doing it.
I think it's
Like
used. I think it's used far too much, mate. I think
oh,
it's
it
used
is. I
far
agree.
too
No, I
much.
agree on that. The offsides are ridiculous. If you're there and a fingernail's offside, you're offside. I find that
Yeah,
that's killing the game. Got
yeah,
to be. What happened to the daylight rule? That's onside. That you were off. As long as you could see
yeah.
through. All right, he's offside there. He's gaining a big advantage there.
I looked this these people, these lawmakers, this IFAB. They were saying that last year there were like 200 rules that had been changed, and I think football is supposed to be the simplest of all games, mate. You know, you go
Yeah,
out in a park and you can play football with a ball and
yeah,
jumpers. Now, mate, you need a bible of like rules, you know,
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
different
yeah.
rules, and it's
Yeah.
never ever been like that.
I know, I
So
know, I know. It's angry really because, like you said, they're changing the game that is simple and beautiful and great on the eye. They're changing it to be slow. We don't know. Players don't know rules,
yeah,
and you think, well, if they don't know them,
mate,
you know,
you want to teach kids, you know, when my little boy's older, I want to say to him, you play football, you're scoring that goal. The only decision I should really have to explain to you is the offside rule, and it's because of this, and this, and that's it. And the rest of the game, he can
yeah,
watch. You know,
yeah,
mate, you don't want to be in a
yeah.
few years talking to your
No,
kids and
I
saying,
agree.
this is rule 7.04.
I know, yeah.
You must not
Your
touch this player.
hands move.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
moronic,
know, I
mate.
know, I
It's
know.
just absolutely
I know, I
mental.
agree. Well, hopefully we're going to, the rules will change and common sense. I think the one thing that's lacking at the minute, mate, in most things is common sense in the whole
Yeah,
world,
yeah.
actually.
It's madness.
But in the footballing world, I think we really need to strip back and just go back to what we love about the game, and that's fast paced, high scoring. Yes, technology is amazing. It can help us. Goal line technology, fantastic. All right, I mean another Sheffield Villa thing, but but that was a really small thing. Actually, it kind of proved to be a big thing in the end for
Yeah, yeah.
for Villa. But it's been a 99.9% positive that, and I think if that was done right, it could be like you said. They use it far too much. It's far too much. It's used for silly stuff. Doesn't need to be, and I think it could be made more simple. But like I said, we could do 3 hour
Oh,
debate
yeah, we
on
could talk
on
about that
VAR,
for
couldn't we?
hours, mate.
Just down the table, let's just talk about Sheffield. Poor start, really poor start for Sheffield. They've lost that bite, they've lost that quickness, that thing that Sheffield had last year. They've really had a poor start to the season, but got Ryan Brewster yesterday. I think that's a good signing.
Mate,
They've got buyback clause.
how do Liverpool manage to get millions upon millions for players that have very rarely played in the Premier League?
Solanke,
Jordan Ibe, 15
Jordan I,
million for Ibe.
15
15,
million.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do Liverpool do this, mate?
I
In
think he's a
fairness,
talent, Brewster, didn't he? He scored 10
he
in
is.
20 games, didn't he, for Swansea?
Yeah, I think, listen, I think ultimately he will probably be the best of those three that we've just touched on. But
Looks a
20,
very natural finisher, doesn't he?
he does, mate. Yeah, 23 million, though. Although, I mean,
What's the buyback? How much is did they release what the
I'm not
buyback
too sure,
was?
mate. I think there'll be like a year one, year two option. What they potentially,
Yeah, but
I, I,
I mean,
I would guess that year one will be 30 million, year two will be 40 million. Something like that.
yeah,
Leeds were going to do a similar with that Michael Cousins, weren't they, at Bayern Munich, where
yeah,
there was
yeah.
a buyback clause, and I think that's probably the thing that's put Leeds off, really. But these are
And
the
apparently
buyback clauses
he's
that,
a bit injured as well, isn't he? So I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. The buyback clauses are clever for clubs because I mean, look when Chelsea let Lukaku go and then they were going to bring him back for 70 odd million. You think Lukaku were there, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
similar
you
with
didn't have
mate,
to
similar with
at the time and stuff. But
similar with Ramsdale at
it's
Sheffield United, mate. They've just bought the keeper that they had 4 years ago. They
yeah,
bought
I
him
know,
for like
yeah,
five.
yeah,
I think they sold him for 500k, and they bought him back for 18.5 million.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, but they've made a poor start, haven't they, mate? Sheffield United. Do you think that they're one of these clubs that have suffered from the lack of fans?
Little bit. I think when you come into sorry, that's just, the dog is getting a bit excited. It's I think all clubs have suffered without fans. Sheffield United, when you first come up and you have your first season, I think just the pure excitement of being in the Premier League, and I think Chris Wilder did an unbelievable job. I think the players listened to everything, and they kind of surprised a few teams last year. That second season, remember Ipswich? They got Europe and then got relegated
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
year after. I don't think that Sheffield United will get relegated. I really don't. Not by any stretch. I actually put in my prediction that they'll finish about 12, 13,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Which, I think that sometimes the second season is the season where you've got to really kind of just establish if it's always a toss of a coin your first season, but second season you just want to remain there because if you do fall off a cliff, bad things can happen. A bit like what Leicester did. They won the league, and everyone were like what you said. Where did they go? What did they do? Did they nearly get? But they did. They've just hovered. They've hovered, and now they're having the second run of it again. So it's a tricky one with Sheffield because I think they've had a bad start. They didn't play great. I watched them the other week, and they just looked. I've never seen them play as bad as they played
They
over
just
them
don't.
30
They don't have a
games.
goal
It
threat, do
was
they?
shocking.
No goal threat.
No, nothing. It was nothing. And then even against us the other week, like McBurney were on the bench and stuff. And I thought, why aren't they playing? He played 20 million for McBurney.
Do you think?
Why ain't he play?
Do you
I
think they
don't
Do
know.
you think they really needed Ryan Brewster because David McGoldrick has scored 0 in 38?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I mean, the threat that he poses every 15 games is, I don't know. Listen, I suppose I speak to a couple of Sheffield fans, and they actually do like McGoldrick. They like the way that he puts himself about. But Premier League, mate, if you don't score, and that's why fair play to Bamford. Scored.
Yeah.
He scored goals and coming up, and he's had a good start. Now maybe it might have been different last year if McGoldrick had got a good start. But remember, I don't think he scored for 20 odd games or something, wasn't it? But look, I think Ryan Brewster it can only make them better. It can only
Yeah.
make them better. He hasn't proved it in the Premier League. So that's going to be a little bit of a,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not like they've got someone who scored 15, 20 goals,
Yeah, and he's not the striker that they really have in terms of little man with pace. They've got that same
He's
sort of
off the
strike.
shoulder, isn't he?
Yeah, they've got that same sort of striker, haven't they, with like McGoldrick and McBurney,
McBurney,
Billy
the big
Sharp.
lads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big
Billy Sharp,
lads.
they'll bustle you out the way and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I agree. But I think I actually think it's quite shrewd. I think he's a signing that they might need a little bit different, play off that shoulder.
yeah.
Callum Watkins has added that. I mean, I think they had a couple of players like that, but sorry, not
Ollie Watkins.
Ollie Watkins, sorry. For Villa, he's made a bright start. He looks that off the shot. Pace frightens defenders. We all know that. So let's just see how they go, Sheffield. But
Yeah.
let's touch on Leeds, man. Let's obviously we're both Leeds fans, as people know now. It's been an unbelievable start with a snatch hand off. If you'd have said it's hard now to look back in hindsight to lose to Liverpool because 4-3, we pushed them. We should have beaten them or at least got a draw.
Yep.
We won the two that we thought we should win, and we did win. And now we've got the Man City game, who are coming off the back of a thrashing. It could be good for Leeds. It could be bad. The history tells us it's bad because
Yeah.
they usually come pretty strong. But what do you make of the start from Leeds and from Bamford in particular?
No complaints at all, really, mate. I was concerned before the Liverpool game, but after halfway through, I thought, right, we're actually not going to do bad this season.
Yeah.
The 2 wins that we've had, I really worried about our defence. Like I said in our predictions at the start, I worried about our goalkeeper, and I really worried about the flat back four that we had. But they've actually done really well, particularly against Sheffield United. I think we played really well. It was we needed a scrappy 1-0 win.
100%, mate.
You know, we needed a scrappy 1-0 win, even if it was a last minute winner or last couple of minutes.
Great header as well. Great ball. Harrison's had a great start to the season.
Yeah,
I mean,
Harrison will be a big miss today, man, against his parent club.
And Elder Costa, I am really impressed because we were going. See, a bit of a fraud, Costa. Have we been sold? You know, because in the I don't know, in the Premier League, not that he's had a bit more time. Well, maybe you do have a bit more time in the Premier League, but he just looks
like a new player. There are some players though, mate. I try to think of examples, but Bamford and Costa are quite good examples who are really maybe more suited to the Premier League. And actually, those two are probably more suited to not playing in front of fans because you know what our fans like, mate, particularly at Ellen Road. They kind of get on players' backs if they're not performing, particularly if they've got quite a big transfer fee. You know, both of them are 15 million each. And the lack of fans maybe are doing them quite well because they sort of feel free.
It sets them back up for when fans do come back because maybe the good start and the confidence that you have from that, then you know, hopefully then they'll carry it on. But I've been impressed, and you know, even with our defence, you know, Robin Koch, he had a lively start, let's say, to the Premier League, giving away the penalty. But then his match starts, if you look after it, he's been a bit of a monster. And he
did all right. Yeah.
He looks quite good. I mean, look, it's going to take any time. You got Salah and Mane running at you and whatnot. It's going to be a bit of a shock to the system, isn't it? But,
like we said,
I'm impressed.
Like we said in first pod, though, mate. I think games like today against Man City, these aren't the games that we're going to be judged upon. They're going to be the games against Fulham and Sheffield United. So
absolutely,
again, I think it's another free hit today, mate. I think.
Yeah, listen, if we could get a score draw on a 0-0 draw, I would be the happiest person in the world because it's like you say, it's a free hit. It's Man City. We don't know what Man City are going to turn up. Is it going to be the one that's going to Kane a 7? Listen, I think we're going to get a few poundings this season just because of the way we play. But
you take those, don't you?
You necessarily think that? Yeah. Is it a bad thing? Probably not, because it'll always be a learning curve.
Yeah.
I also won't like it.
Listen, I'd take one of those performances like we did against Liverpool. You know, a really positive. Yeah. It sounds really weird saying that you take a defeat, but against a team like Man City, we're not ultimately judged upon. Just something to work on for the next game.
I agree. You know, I don't want to get a pounding and not. I want to, like what we did against Liverpool. We were always in the game. I don't want to get beat 4-0 and go, we were absolutely brushed aside there. But Man City are Premier League champions for, you know, last few years, and he has got just a team of superstars.
Yeah.
So if we did get one hiding from a team, you probably wouldn't mind it to be Man City. But after that Liverpool performance, you want the similar against Man City, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
Good time to play them? As in, like, the fact with the signings and not coming off the loss, but the fact that they've just bought a new centre-back. I don't know if he'll play, but even if he does, it's a shock. You know, you were playing against a Leeds team that's very high-pressed.
Yeah, I don't think
Aguero, Jesus, they're not.
I don't think it's a terrible time. I don't think it's a terrible time to play them. I mean, even if they are off the back of a defeat, because luckily they played against Burnley midweek, didn't they? And that probably felt like a bit of a, you know, the 1-3-0. That's probably the game that they probably wanted straight away, you know, just to get rid of the 5-2.
Yeah. I agree.
And now they're playing us. It'd be interesting to see if the new lad from Benfica starts at centre back, and hopefully Bamford can give him a bit of a run around. But
I just think in general, if he does play, we've got to get on top of him. I mean, look, it's Bielsa and Guardiola. Guardiola idolises Bielsa. They both play similar football in the high press. I mean, we can't let De Bruyne play. We've got to. I don't know who's going to be on him, but it would be a Phillips. But he can't give him a sniff today.
Can't give him a sniff, mate. Yeah, they just need to get straight on him.
You know, foul him, hit him, get at him. But we can't let. He is that ticking clock. He makes everything tick in that team. But I think at the back, I think we could get at them. Like you say, Harrison, big miss, but Costa needs to step up. Bamford's on fire. Rodrigo, we've not seen him.
He'll come good though, man.
We haven't seen the player.
You know what else is like?
I'm a little bit on edge. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you know, let's see. Listen, what a time tough have a good game if he's going to have a good game.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's see how we go. But it's been an interesting start to Premier League. I know we're going to wrap up in a second, but been an interesting start to Premier League. We always know that the first three to 5 games, and then it settles down a bit, and we start seeing the top 4, top 6, bottom 3 come through. We'll do a transfer pod. We're going to talk about all the transfers that go through. And of course, we'll be talking about Leeds and Man City in the next podcast as well. But anything else from you before we go?
Yeah, just wanted to quickly touch upon just for the last couple of minutes about the fans coming back into the stadiums or the lack of fans. And I wanted to get your opinion. I'll tell you mine. I was reading earlier on this week about a lower league club who they have like a clubhouse. I can't remember the name of the club. Somebody will probably tell us.
Oh yeah. It was. Yeah. It was the non-league. They were on that Billericay. They were on TalkSport.
I can't remember which team it was, but they had a clubhouse, and they brought in loads of fans because it's officially a pub or a bar, and they showed the game on the big screen, which is literally there. The pitch is there.
They closed the curtains.
They closed the curtains, so people weren't officially at the game, and they watched it on the big screen. So they had about 100 people in an enclosed space, but they couldn't watch it at the ground, which was when you think about that, is absolutely ridiculous. And we're more
it's stupid.
Cinemas
are opening, mate. Cinemas are opening.
Cinemas are showing games.
They're open. They're showing games,
Yeah, they're showing games.
The Chelsea game's on.
Mate, they're showing games in an enclosed space.
I couldn't believe it.
Indoors. Listen, there is absolutely no reason why clubs can't bring 10% of the fans back. You look at the size of Ellen Road, what is it, 36,000? You bring 3,600 fans into a stadium just to improve that atmosphere.
You could bring 7,000 in
and easily social distance. But even if you bring 3,500 back in, man, and that could be so spread out, really easily stewarded as well. You think, I don't know, 100 stewards around the ground, because there's not going to be that much trouble. I get that no away fans could come back in. But it's so easily stewarded, and
it's been nice. It's been nice in Germany. You're hearing it. I know it sounds crazy, mate. Hearing that live noise, because I cannot hear this fake crowd noise anymore. It's awful. But it's terrible.
Like I say, mate, there's no reason for that. And the Premier League are having to fund now the lower league clubs who are really struggling.
Packages.
And we've got about a minute left, mate, but you tell me, should it be up to the Premier League to fund the lower league clubs?
No, it actually shouldn't, if I'm being honest, because as much as the television money is good for the Premier League games, there isn't an endless money pit for the big clubs as well. And I tell you what, mate, I'd be shocked if we don't get fans in by Christmas. I think you'll see some of the big clubs even suffering from it. Even Man United, they're not willing to pay all that money for Sancho. This is Man United, the richest club in the world. They're not going to do it because in these current times and stuff. So it's going to be interesting. We're definitely going to touch on that, and we're going to talk about what the government's going to do about that as well. But thanks for watching this week. Follow us on social media, and we will be back next week for the Flatback 4. But for now, see you later.
Thank you.